Today I'm sharing with you 3 delicious vegan recipes that are perfect for your holiday feast, and they have a gluten-free option. I'll be giving you an appetizer, main meal, and dessert so that you are totally covered. If you're new here, hey, I'm Healthy Emmie. I'm a nutritionist, a weight loss specialist, and the creator of Slim, the all-inclusive platform where you get a customized meal plan, workout plan, daily meditations, journal topics, access to me, weekly Q&A calls, and more, so that you can finally achieve and maintain your ideal weight on a plant-based diet. You can click the link in the down bar to learn more about that. Also, big news, I am running a completely free webinar, Indulge in the Holidays Without Sacrificing Your Health, a 5-step workshop. You can click the link in the down bar to sign up for that. We are going to be making the exact game plan for you to follow so that you can slay the holidays, enjoy yourself, have some indulgences without totally going off plan. Before I get into the recipes, I do just want to address the use of the word guilt in the title. I use the word guilt in the title because I wanted to talk about it, that guilt should never be an ingredient no matter what you're eating. In the Slim on Starch program, my philosophy is that we should allow ourselves to have these intentional indulgences on the days where it feels aligned and right for us. And if on the holidays it feels aligned for you to have an intentional indulgence, then to do so with complete mindfulness and presence in the moment, and not to do so with any guilt or shame attached. It is actually a win for you to be able to, on a holiday, have a slice of pie or have a cupcake and not go overboard with it. That's something that many people can't do. So if you can intentionally do that and then get right back on with your lifestyle with the next meal or the next bite, huge win. Not to mention, it's what you do 95% of the time or 99% of the time that matters the most. So if you are sticking to your meal plan from Slim leading up to the holiday, you have an indulgence, and then you're back on your meal plan with Slim the next day, major win. That is what matters the most. Now, on these holidays, if you're like me, I like to feel good on the holidays. I want to have some fun foods and recipes and things we don't usually have, but I don't want to have a stomach ache at the end of it. I don't want to wake up with acne the next morning. I don't want to feel bloated and gross. And I want to be able to have leftovers the next day too and work it into my healthy lifestyle. So for that reason, I love to have recipes like these that have so many wholesome, vitamin-rich, mineral-rich, antioxidant-rich ingredients in them, so that not only are they fun and you enjoy some indulgences, but they also are benefiting your health and you feel good eating them, and you feel as though you're acting in alignment with your passion for fueling your body properly and with kindness. So the first recipe is a to die for recipe. It is from my Healthy Holidays cookbook, which has everything that I'm making this holiday season is from that cookbook. So if you want to have exactly what I'm having on the holidays, get that cookbook. But I'm definitely making my pumpkin maple cornbread. I have been making this probably for 8 or 9 years at this point without fail, and people consider it to be a dessert because it is so good. Here's how we make it. For this recipe, you are going to need 1.5 cups of yellow cornmeal. The yellow cornmeal is going to give it this beautiful color. You're going to need 1/2 cup of flour. You could use a gluten-free flour if you wanted to. I traditionally do this with regular flour. If you do use the gluten-free, you're going to want to get one that's a blend where it's a 1-to-1 switch out. I wouldn't go for just using something like oat flour, for example. I would get something like the Bob's Red Mill where it's a 1-for-1 swap. Then I'm going to have 1/3 cup of canned 100% pumpkin puree, as well as a cup of non-dairy milk, 1/2 cup of medjool dates. I do recommend that you buy the medjool dates with the pits in them and then you remove the pit yourself. I find that those are much more gooey, whereas the ones that are already pitted tend to be dried out. Then we're going to use a teaspoon of baking soda, as well as a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of pumpkin spice, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which of course is optional to use the salt, but it is recommended if you are serving this to guests. So I'm going to take the dates and pour boiling hot water over them to help soften the dates, so that when you mix everything together, you don't have chunks of dates. That's nasty. So this is going to help soften them so that they'll mix in with everything nicely. Then I'm going to whisk together the dry ingredients of the cornmeal, the flour, the baking soda, the cinnamon, and the pumpkin spice. And then a little bit of salt if you're going to use that. Now you are going to blend up the dates, take them out of the hot water, blend them, and use a little bit of the hot water to help blend them so that we can mix together all of our wet ingredients, which is the non-dairy milk, pumpkin puree, the maple syrup, and then the blended dates. Once it's all whisked together, you can add in the dry ingredients and mix those together. Now we're going to pour the mixture into what I recommend, which is a silicone baking loaf, because then you don't need to line it. You don't need to worry about it sticking. If you're not using something that's lined or something that's silicone, you're probably going to have issues with it sticking to the pan. But then I'm going to put it in the oven, which has been preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes. Let it bake and then let it cool before slicing. Something that you will hear me say if you're a client of mine is that on these days, just because we're having indulgences, it doesn't mean that every other healthy habit that we have just flies out the window. In fact, we should double down on the healthy habits that we do have when we have those indulgences so that we tell our body that this is something that's a part of the picture here. I'm not completely off the diet and throwing away my healthy lifestyle. I'm still going on my walks. I'm still doing my journaling. I'm still doing my daily meditation. I'm still mindfully eating and putting the fork down between bites, and I'm still taking my supplements. Just because it's a holiday doesn't mean that we're not going to take our supplements. So for me, I'm taking my two culprits that are always here. We got the usual suspects, vitamin B12 and vitamin D3. And especially as we head into the holiday season and you're not getting as much sunlight, the vitamin D3 is going to be an absolute must. And with our B12, you're going to need energy during the chaos of the holidays. So we're going to need to supplement with our B12. The exact supplements that I take are these ones. I created these and you can get them linked in the down bar. They're the cleanest ones you're going to find. All the other ones on the market are garbage, respectfully. And I'm not saying that about the companies. I'm saying that about the ingredients. This is also from my Healthy Holidays cookbook. I was going to put in my butternut squash risotto, but that is actually a recipe I've never shared outside of the cookbook. It's sacred. That is one of my favorite recipes of all time, is the butternut squash risotto. So that's in the Healthy Holidays cookbook. It will stay in there, so make sure you get it. But this mac and cheese casserole, I love this recipe because did you know that 99.99% of individuals from Asian descent are lactose intolerant? And then I believe within the Black population, it's somewhere around 79% are lactose intolerant. We're not supposed to be eating this stuff, this dairy. So this is a great alternative. For our ingredients, we are going to need 4 cups of soy milk. I like to use soy milk because it is creamy. It's a little bit higher in fat. I also am going to use 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. You could substitute this for a gluten-free flour if you wanted to, just like last time. Then a tablespoon of onion and garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. This is going to give it a little bit of a kick. So if you don't like things with a little kick, then you might want to use a little bit less. We're going to use a cup of nutritional yeast to give that tasty, cheesy flavor, and you do pack in a lot of protein with this. And then we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, which is going to give it this nice fall feel and a little sweetness and nuttiness to it. We're going to use 2 cups of dried macaroni. You could use the gluten-free macaroni if you wanted to, and you are going to cook it per the package instructions. So you want it to be cooked before it goes into the casserole dish. Then we're going to use 1 rib of celery, which is thinly sliced, as well as 2 carrots and 2/3 cup of almond flour, which is going to be used for the crumb topping. We're going to start by making the cheesy roux that is going to go in the casserole. So we're going to mix together the flour with the onion powder and the garlic powder, as well as the cayenne pepper and the nutritional yeast. Whisk all of that together. And then we are going to put this over medium heat with the soy milk, and we're going to whisk it until it has thickened. Once it's thickened, we're going to remove it from the heat so that we can add it into the casserole dish. In the casserole, you are going to put the cooked macaroni as well as the celery and carrots, and then you're going to pour that cheesy mixture over the top of the casserole dish. Now for the bread crumbly top, we are going to add on the almond flour that has been mixed with the nutmeg. So you'll sprinkle that on top. And then we are going to bake this at 400 degrees. By the way, this is a 9-by-5 casserole dish. We are going to bake it at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes until the top is golden brown. Now for the dessert. One of the best desserts you will ever have. It is so painfully easy. I can almost promise you, you already have all the ingredients in your pantry right now and you can whip it up. Here we go with my chickpea blondies. For the world's easiest and tastiest recipe, you barely need anything. You just need a can of chickpeas, a half of a cup of nut butter. I'm using peanut butter. I've also used cashew butter, which came out really great, but you can use any type of nut butter. You could also use a sun butter. Third of a cup of maple syrup, a handful of chocolate chips, and then a half a teaspoon each of baking soda and baking powder. You're going to drain and rinse your chickpeas from the can and then add them into a food processor along with the peanut butter and the maple syrup. Blend all of that together, making sure to push down the sides so that you really do get a nice smooth consistency of the batter. Then you can mix in the baking powder and baking soda. And then you're going to want to stir in the chocolate chips. So not blending them in, but stirring them in. Then we're going to pour the mixture into an 8x8 pan, just like I talked about earlier, and you're going to bake it for about 25 minutes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Once a toothpick comes out clean and the edges are lightly golden. You definitely want to let them cool before you cut them, and you could store them in the fridge for 3 to 5 days, but to be honest with you, they're not going to last that long. Now, what are you going to do after you eat all of this? You're going to get back on with your Slim meal plan. The best part about Slim is that you get a meal plan so that when you have an indulgence like this, you just open up the app, you open up Slim and you say, okay, the next thing that I'm going to eat tomorrow, yep, it's on here. That's what I'm going to eat. You don't have to worry about it. So there's no bargaining. It's nice and easy to follow to get you back on track, keep you structured, and hold you accountable. If you made it to this point of the video, I want you to comment and let me know what your favorite holiday is. My favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. If you haven't already, do make sure that you sign up for the free webinar. It's going to be an interactive workshop. I'm going to give you a worksheet. We're going to make your plan for the holidays so that you feel super confident going into the holiday season. It's linked down below, and I'll see you in my next video.